Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here, and welcome to www Smackdown. Of course, taking a look at this week's Friday Night Smackdown, a new era on Smackdown. Of course, Triple H ushering in this new story, if you like, on Smackdown. And I say new story because there's going to be so many compelling storylines that are just going to take centre stage when it comes to Smackdown on USA Network. I'm sad in a way that they've left behind Fox because I've got so many happy memories when it comes to Fox and Smackdown on Fox, mainly that cinematic masterpiece, the original Bloodline storyline. You got to remember, most of, or the majority of Fox was through the pandemic era, and I think they did a pretty damn good job, to be honest with you. Smackdown for a long time was the A show, and of course now we've got this new era. Now, what do you think of the new logo? What do you think of the new theme, the new presentation? Do you dig it? I saw a little bit of negative feedback in regards to the logo. Some people said it looks a bit like the Subway logo. I kind of can see that, but personally I dig it. I think it looks great. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to the S on the microphone. It seems a little bit basic, a little bit bland, but I quite like it. If I'm being honest, I'm not going to be picky. It's just like anything, isn't it? When something's new, it takes you a while to get used to it. Just like the I Am Greatness theme from Roman Reigns. I hated it when he returned with that, and now I dig it. I really like it. I wouldn't say I prefer it to the head of the table theme, but I've got used to it as time has gone on. Now, how can we talk about SmackDown as a Wyatt 6 fan without talking about that blimmin' Pluto logo? It's popped up yet again in the background. And come on, Triple H and creative, this cannot be a coincidence. This Pluto logo pops up in the background. Seemingly, most times you see a major player in the women's tag team division. And we've seen it yet again. Now, I do have a theory regarding a certain Miss Bliss, and I will be popping that up on the channel next week. It's definitely worth a more in-depth discussion. But where do you think this is going to lead to? Are we potentially going to see doors opening once more and the Wyatt 6 transitioning, or certain members, or a returning certain superstar on SmackDown? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, this week's episode of SmackDown kicked off with an absolute bang. A banger of a match between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Not just a regular match, in a steel freaking cage. And more importantly, 30 minutes ad-free, which is always a breath of fresh air. Just more fluid, it just runs better, in my personal opinion, without having ads. Ads just ruin wrestling for me. It ruins the flow of the matchup. So I love to see that. There were so many spots that were open mouth spots. Mainly that superplex that Solo Sikoa delivered on Cody Rhodes. That looked like badass. Also the Cody Cutter, and of course the crossbody that Cody Rhodes delivered on Solo Sikoa. And Cody Rhodes looked like he got cut up as well during the match. But none of that really matters because, of course, predictably, Cody Rhodes got the victory. But my question, where was the Bloodline during the match? The Bloodline came out after the match to then beat down Cody Rhodes, to then hear that, the God coming from heaven in Roman Reigns, the OTC, not coming to the aid of Cody Rhodes. I wouldn't call it that. I call it just beating down the Bloodline 2.0, that wannabe faction, that wannabe OG Bloodline faction, and he just wants to deck them up, really. But it did lead to an interesting dynamic, interesting chemistry potentially between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. You can see they both still deep down despise each other. Cody Rhodes would not trust Roman Reigns in a million years, and neither would Roman trust Cody. But they've both got the same intentions. They've both got the same target in, of course, the Bloodline. So it makes sense for them to get together to fight them. And of course that led to a major segment later on in the show, which we'll come on to. But through all of this, Bloodline, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns and all of that, I just want to see Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns. And I think most of the WWE audience want to see it too. And Solo Sikoa is kind of preventing us from that. So Will there be more friction teased between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu as the storyline progresses? Of course there will be, and we'll be there to see it. Now, next up, again, got on my little list. I do make some notes, I do my homework. We had a matchup, and pretty forgettable matchup, between Michin, or Meechin, whatever you want to call her, and of course Piper Niven, who still to this day I want to call Doudrop. Meechin got the victory, but it was the shortest match ever, it felt to me at the time. I didn't particularly enjoy it. But in the end, it ended with Piper Niven and Chelsea Green getting the last laugh, with Chelsea Green delivering the unpretty her, love the play on words, her lethal, pretty badass finishing manoeuvre on, of course, Meechin. Now, it was nice to see some absolute legends in RVD. Maybe not so much Michael Hayes. He didn't get the best response. We saw Bobby Roode, Glorious, and all of that. And, of course, we saw Vicky Guerrero. Man, that voice still haunts me to this day. One of the most irritating voices in WWE history. More irritating than the early on version, if you like, of Stephanie McMahon. That used to go right through you as well. And it makes me feel like a bit of a dinosaur. The fact that I have literally, as a WWE fan, watched the whole of SmackDown. Its whole history. It's mad, isn't it? I was a little kid, I'll give it that. But I've watched SmackDown for 25 years and that's a little bit mad. You, like me, watched it for that long? Now, one thing I was really interested to find out was who A-Town Down Under, and that's always a bit of a mouthful, we're going to face. Of course, Austin Theory and, of course, Grayson Waller were waiting for Kevin Owens to find a partner, this mystery partner. And I did not expect in a million years, honestly, I got goosebumps when he came out. The man, the myth, the legend in Ricky. That's right, Ricky. I was gutted when Ricky got a stunner. Kevin Owens technically turned on someone else, right? Turned on a tag team partner in Ricky. Poor old Ricky. Ricky actually wasn't the real pick, and I think we kind of knew that was the case. And predictably, of course, it was going to be the apex predator, the Viper, in Randy Orton. All 290 pounds of him. Did I hear that right from the announcer? Is he really 290 pounds? Like, man, Kim has been feeding him. Randy Orton is like jacked. But getting borderline to the point where I think he's going to explode if he goes over the 300 pound mark. Maybe that might lose a bit of his speed. Hey, maybe I'm just being super picky. Like, I just think a 290 Randy Orton is just maybe a little bit too on the heavy side. Maybe he needs to nip down to like a 250, 260 or something like that. But I know they exaggerate the weights and maybe they're doing that just as a joke. But of course, predictably, KO and of course RKO got the victory. I love the chemistry between the two of them. Love the combination between the stunner and of course the RKO as well. And the fans love them as well. They get massively over, and understandably so, because they're two absolute legends within WWE. Now this next segment really confused me. And I mean really confused me. We had Nia Jax come out, then Bayley come out and challenge Nia Jax to a matchup at Bad Blood for the Women's WWE Championship. Then, of course, we had Tiffany Stratton come out. Then, of course, predictably, we had Bayley try and sort of stir the pot, tease the friction more between Tiffany and Nia. Really interested to see where that goes in the future. I think and feel it's a little bit too early for a Tiffany Stratton face turn, but maybe there's something in the story that we're missing here, potentially. But for the moment, keeping Nia and Tiffany as heels with this friction is great. But then randomly, Naomi comes out. Not to the aid of Bayley, more to the support, I suppose, of just having someone by her side. And then this just blew my mind. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to get a matchup, Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi and Bayley. Now, if Bayley and Naomi lose, whoever gets pinned is vanished from SmackDown, right? They leave SmackDown for good. If Bayley or Naomi get the win, get the pin for their team, that person will then get a shot at Nia Jax's title at Bad Blood. That seems a really strange stipulation and a really confusing one. But we'll see how it plays out. Who knows where this is going to lead, but I do have a slight theory with that, which I'll get to in the lead up to, of course, Bad Blood on this channel. Now, Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade, unquestionably for me, was the match of the night. This was a banger, a 5-star performance, and it just goes to prove you don't need to have 5-star promos to get compelling viewing on WWE TV. And Andrade is looking like a credible weapon, a credible threat for LA Knight's United States Championship. Of course, it was Andrade who got the victory, won the series 3-2, and is now going to face LA Knight, who came out and, of course, basically said that he's going to keep that title. But we're going to get Andrade versus LA Knight for the United States Championship, and this is a match that I'm really looking forward to. And of course, that brings us on to the icing on the cake, the main event in my eyes. The fact that we're now going to get, and this is a big deal as well, not only for the fact that we're going to get Roman Reigns on the Bad Blood PLE, but not only that, we're going to get Roman Reigns, the ultimate face of WWE, Cody Rhodes, the ultimate face in WWE, teaming up to take on Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa at Bad Blood. Now, talk about a banger of a match. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait. And I love the friction that they've teased between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. They both don't trust one another. They don't particularly like one another. Of course, they've got so much history. And you've got Roman Reigns basically being very similar to the character he was of previous. The only difference is he doesn't oppose or disrespect the fans. But he still believes it's his show, that he is the original tribal chief, which we all agree he is. He's the original head of the table, 100%. But is he face of the company at the moment? Cody Rhodes doesn't seem to think so, because Cody Rhodes has been there week in, week out, and Roman Reigns just swans in when he wants and gets a huge ovation, a huge pop, and the majority of the fans probably side with Roman Reigns. Now, with the exception of a couple of boos when Cody Rhodes resisted signing the contract for that match, Cody Rhodes overall got a pretty decent reception, so I'm quite surprised, even to this day, that Cody Rhodes is still getting pretty massively over pops, even though a lot of the IWC, if you like, are not really thrilled with Cody Rhodes' title reign and feel like he's a little bit boring and a little bit stale and all of that. There's so many dynamics here. Friction between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu is going to be just round the corner. You know full well over time Fatu is going to turn on Solo Sikoa. Are Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns going to coexist for the moment in their common goal to basically dismantle the bloodline? How is this going to work in fair heading into Survivor Series War Games? That remains to be seen. There's so many questions I've got. More questions than answers at the moment. But I think Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are playing their characters to perfection. They don't like one another. They don't trust one another. They're only tagging up because, in a way, they have to. So they've got numbers. Now, I can't wait to see what's next, as I'm sure you as a WWE fan are too. Now, what did you think of the show? Get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions. What did you like, dislike? What did you absolutely hate? And as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And we will catch you in the next one.